Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is August 20th, 2025, and I have a Camp Nou update for you because Barcelona have reached an agreement to play at Montjuic. Also, Marc Casado, the club are now ready to listen to offers for the player. We're going to discuss it all in detail. And finally, the Higher Council for Sports currently analyzing on whether to remove Javier Tebas from the presidency of La Liga. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Bo. This is the Barca News live podcast, where not only we discuss news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting the discussion going. Of course, for those of you who will be watching the podcast when it ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All of that helps the channel continue to grow. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kits, Kitbag, or Fanatics. If you want to buy all three kits for this season, head to any of those websites. And finally, if you want to place a sports bet, not just on Barcelona matches, but on all sporting events around the world, make sure you hit the Bet Us. All links are down below in the description. And click on them. Get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of this podcast is comprised of multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity, is starting with, well, the Intercontinental Cup. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the winners of the Under-20 Libertadores. If you don't know what Libertadores is, it's the equivalent of the Champions League in South America. But the winners of the Under-20 Libertadores were Flamengo, and they're going to be playing an intercontinental match against Barcelona's Under-20 team. Why? Because as you know, the Juvenil A, or the Under-19 team, the Under-18 team, the Juvenil A won the Youth Champions League. So Barcelona, being the winners of the Youth Champions League, they're going to be playing against Flamengo, who are the winners of the Libertadores Youth Tournament, the Under-20 Youth Tournament. This match will be played on August 23rd in Brazil at the Maracanã, at the historical Maracanã. And as you know, Hansi Flick has already blocked 4 players from traveling to Brazil: Dro, Jofre Torrents, Guille, and Tony Fernandez, the Fernandez cousins, because he wants them to stay in Barcelona training with the first team and potentially being called up to La Liga matches. But one player who has surprisingly made the list that will be traveling to Brazil is Virgili. Now, I'm not saying surprising because, he doesn't have the talent to go. Not at all. Virgili, incredibly talented player. But it's surprising because, as you know, Virgili has been considering leaving, right? Virgili was really hoping to make the first team. That didn't happen during the preseason. In fact, Flick didn't even take him to the preseason tour in Asia. Ended up sending him back to Barca Athletic. So that's when Virgili started considering leaving, right? Because he feels like he's outgrown 4th division, which is where Barca Athletic are playing. And seeing that most likely he's not going to be getting minutes with the first team, especially now with Barcelona signing Marcus Rashford and Rooney Bargi, then Virgili started considering leaving. And of course, Barcelona told him, you want to leave? That's cool. Bring offers. Bring money. We're not going to just let you go for free or on loan. Bring money, and we'll be happy to let you leave. Now, there was a lot of interest in Virgili, including Mallorca, who were very, very interested in signing him. But of course, Barcelona were demanding 4 to 5 million euros, plus a percentage of the rights of the player, plus a buyback clause to maintain control over his future, like they've been doing lately. Mallorca and the other teams who were interested in Virgili were not willing to do this, so Barcelona said, well, too bad. You want to take him? Take him. You better pay up. Now, Virgili has been included in the squad list, which of course begs the question. Is Virgili not leaving anymore? The market is nearing a close. This match will be played on the 24th. That means he won't be back in Barcelona probably until the 25th or 26th, only a few days before the market closes. And as you know, usually when players are getting ready to leave, They don't play matches in order to avoid injury. So the big question mark is Jean Virgili staying? And right now, it's looking like he could be. Now, on to the next bit of news, because one player who won't be staying for sure is Oriol Romeu. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's been reported that Barcelona's agreement with Romeu to terminate his contract is practically done. And the only thing missing is the signature of both parties. Now, as you know, Oriol Romeu returned from loan this summer from Girona. Flick, or the club, does not count on him. He knows that, so he has been looking to leave. But, of course, the clubs who have been interested in him are not willing to pay a transfer fee. So it was starting to look more and more likely that Barcelona would reach an agreement to terminate the contract of the player so he can leave as a free agent, join whatever club he wants. And it seems that now that agreement is, well, practically done, and that it could be announced any day now that Barcelona have reached an agreement to terminate the contract of Romeu so he can leave and join whichever team he wants. Now, another big indication, besides, these reports saying that the agreement is practically done, is that Oriol Romeu did not train today. And it was not due to injury. It looks like, well, it's because he's getting ready to leave. So expect an official announcement by the club anytime now, announcing this contract rescission, where Romeu will be free to join whomever he wants. Most likely Girona, probably. That's the team that was most interested in him. But there's also Oviedo. They're also interested in him. They're the most recently promoted club to First Division. And there were talks about maybe some offers out of the MLS. Either way, he will be leaving as a free agent, so Barcelona will not be benefiting from a transfer fee. However, they will be benefiting in financial fair play margin. Now, Oriol Romeu had a small salary, not enough to register someone like Szczesny. However, it will be enough to register someone like Gerard Martin. And in fact, Hansi Flick has requested from the club that the number one priority, now that Rashford and Joan Garcia registered, those were his two priorities. Now that the two are registered, out of the three left, Szczesny, Gerard Martin, and Rooney Bargi, Flick has requested that the number one priority be Gerard Martin. And when Romeu leaves, the space that he's going to leave behind on Barcelona's wage bill will be enough to register Gerard Martin. So not only expect an official announcement soon that Romeu's contract has been rescinded, but expect pretty soon that Gerard Martin will be officially registered as a first-team player. Now, speaking of Gerard Martin, it's been revealed that he has rejected an offer from Wolverhampton, where they offered Barcelona 15 million euros. He rejected it because, of course, his intention is to stay at Barcelona. Flick doesn't want him to leave either. Flick really wants to count on him. It looks like he's going to be counting on him as a left-footed center back, because not only did he try him there during the preseason, but as we've seen, Jofre Torrens got to play against Mallorca as Balde's substitute. So it looks like it's going to be Balde and Jofre Torrens on the left, with Gerard Martin being that left center back substitute. He's going to be in the rotation in that left center back, most likely with Pau Cubarsí, whenever Pau Cubarsí needs rest, because it looks like Araujo's going to be on the right, Cubarsí on the left, and Gerard Martin there ready to sub with Pau Cubarsí. So that's all the news for this first segment. Let's go back to the comment section, or let's start with the comment section, and then we are going to talk about the Camp Nou, because a lot to unpack there. And check it out. I've finally learned how to deal with the software. Everything's going smoothly. My intro song played smoothly. Transitions are all playing smoothly. I love it. Bisca Michael says, everyone, calm down about the Fermin and Casado situation. They aren't going to leave if they want to. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Prof Comedy says, hello, Mo. Justice Boya from the Gambia. How far are the registration of the remaining players, and what is Rooney registration going to be as Mastantuono debut for Real Madrid yesterday? What about financial fair play? So, as I just mentioned, obviously, Joan Garcia, Rashford, both registered. Gerard Martin will be next. As soon as Romeu leaves, Gerard Martin will be registered in his place. And then as far as Szczesny and Rooney, Szczesny most likely is going to be registered in the place not in the place of, but Frankie de Jong, once he renews, that might clear enough space for registration of Wojciech Szczesny. As far as Rooney Bargi, right now Barcelona are waiting. They're waiting to see how the whole Mastantuono situation plays out, because it's clear that what Real Madrid are doing is fraud. It's against the rules, and it's fraud. the rules say that that's fraud. You cannot sign a first-team player and just register him as a reserve team player when you have no intention for that player to be a reserve team. No one pays 60+ million euros for a reserve team signing. It's clear as day that Mastantuono is a first-team player signing, but they are, register him as a Castilla player, which the guy probably is never going to see Castilla, not even as a visit. But we'll see how that plays out, and based on that, Barcelona will decide on how to act. And we do have the first donation of tonight. Bariano says, good day, Mo. How are you, man? I am doing great, my friend. As you know, podcast day are my favorite days. Why? Because I get to read you guys' comments live. I get to react to them. I get to answer your questions. I get to get a discussion going all live. Podcast day are always my favorite days. So, of course, I'm doing great. Why? Because it's a podcast day. And Suf says, Mo, how is that Tebas is still on his post after not agreeing with Rooney to be signed as a Barca B player, and yet he agreed with Real Madrid to Mastantuono as Castilla player. Okay, I saw those reports. There's no truth to that. Tebas or La Liga have not rejected Rooney Bargi's registration. That's complete BS. That has not happened. What happened is Barcelona signed Rooney Bargi as a Barca Athletic player. That was the intention. And then they were going to see how he does in a preseason. And based on that performance, Barcelona were going to have three options to choose from. Either Rooney Bargi is like, he's promising, but he's not there yet. So they would loan him out so he can get playing time somewhere else and develop and then come back. Or still not good enough for the first team, so he gets sent down to Barca Athletic. Or the third option, he would be a Barca Athletic player, but he would trade with the first team, and every now and then he would get called up to the first team, but he would mostly play with Barca Athletic. Those were the three options that Barcelona were considering when they signed Rooney Bargi. Now, Rooney Bargi went through the preseason, and Barcelona were like, oh shit, this guy is actually much better than we expected, so none of those three options are going to apply. We're not going to send him on loan. We're not going to send him back down to Barca Athletic. We actually want him to stay with the first team. So knowing that, Barcelona called La Liga and said, hey, this is the situation. We signed this guy for Barca Athletic. Turns out he's too good. Now we want him to stay at first team. What should we do? La Liga recommended that Barcelona register Rooney Bargi as a first-team player. Barcelona never registered Rooney Bargi. Barcelona never applied for the registration of Rooney Bargi, and that was never rejected by La Liga or by Tebas. So very important. There was no such thing. This was simply a recommendation by La Liga saying, hey, it's better if you do it this way. And now Barcelona, they listened to they're like, okay, I got your recommendation. But Madrid did just do this with Mastantuono. Let me see how that plays out. So they're kind of seeing how it all plays out. And then they're going to decide what to do, whether to follow the recommendation or whether to follow Madrid's footsteps. But Tebas and La Liga never denied anything. There was never an application for the registration of Rooney Bargi because Barcelona don't even have the financial fair play to apply for his registration, let alone get the registration rejected. So be very careful with the stuff that you read out there, especially on Twitter. Maulao says, hi, Mo. I like what you're doing here. I'm looking to get a podcast going. Do it, my friend. Do it. And Cornell, my man, says, morning from Germany. Oh, man, you got back to Germany, though, bro. Sorry I couldn't get to see you. I tried to make it to Texas, but unfortunately, my schedule was too crazy. But Cornell says, let's get the Tebas character out of the picture. Amen, amen. And let's do one more comment, and then we'll go back to the news. But Omar says, how else is the one is on the transfer list, and what will be starting 11? Oh, who else is on the transfer list? Iñaki Peña, obviously. Hector Fort. And Oriol Romeu, obviously. He's about to leave. And I think that's it. That's it. And then we'll talk about Marc Casado in a little bit, but those are like the three that are expected to leave pretty soon. Iñaki Peña, Oriol Romeu, Hector Fort. All right, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about the Spotify Camp Nou since, well, we have an update. We have an update. Now, Barcelona have reportedly reached an agreement with the city for the use of Montjuic. Now, as you know by now, Barcelona are aiming to return to the Camp Nou by the weekend of September 14th, which will be the fourth fixture of La Liga, the first home fixture of La Liga for Barcelona against Valencia. This will be right after the FIFA international break. However, it's not looking like this could happen. We already knew that it wasn't going to happen as far as returning to the first two rings with a 62,000 capacity, people capacity, seats. So Barcelona reached an agreement with the city saying, hey, okay, if we cannot go back to the full two rings since the stadium is not going to be ready, how about we do it in phases? The first phase being 27,000 people. The city said, okay, we're going to grant you this exception, because usually the way permits are issued, it's for the whole building, right? You build a building, it's ready, it gets inspected, you get the license. There's no such thing as, oh, well, you know, half of this floor is ready, the other half is not. But the city of Barcelona decided to work with the club and said, okay, the whole stadium is not going to be ready. That's fine. We'll work with you. We'll allow you to go back by sections. The first section was only 27,000 people. That's the section south of the goal and one of the side sections. But that's also looking like it might not happen, right? Why? Because Barcelona underwent the first inspection, and the inspectors found more than 200 deficiencies. So not only does Barcelona need to complete the work on that section behind South Goal and on one of the side sections, but they also have to fix the 200 plus deficiencies that the inspectors found. And of course, the race is against the clock because September 14th weekend is right around the corner. And not to mention, August 28th, that's the deadline for Barcelona to notify UEFA what stadium they're going to be playing in. So, seeing that time is running out and that the stadium is still not ready, Barcelona have now come up with a plan B, which is to play at Montjuic. And therefore, they have secured an agreement with the city of Barcelona because technically they are the owners of the stadium. They do have a company that manages it, but technically they are the owners. So Barcelona have reached an agreement with the city to use Montjuic until February. That would cover the full group stages of the Champions League because, as you know, under the rules of the Champions League, you cannot switch stadiums in the middle of the group stages. You have to finish the group stages, and the group stages are going to extend until January. And it also covers the 2 playoff matches because, as you know, if you finish the group stages between 9th and 24th place, you have to play 2 playoff matches to see whether you make it to the knockout stages or not. So the agreement is to cover, it goes until February. That covers the full group stages and 2 playoffs in case Barcelona don't end up in the top 8 spots. Now, this agreement does not include the match against Valencia, which is on the weekend of September 14th. Why? Because Montjuic, the stadium, will not be available because on September 12th, 2 days before, there's a Post Malone concert and the pitch is not going to be ready. So where are we going to be playing Valencia? If Camp Nou is not ready, Montjuic is not available, where will Barcelona play? Now, it's reported that Barcelona are currently considering 2 options. Option number 1 will be at the Camp Nou, but with no public, right? Because the locker room of both teams are ready for the home and away team. The locker room for the referees is ready. And as far as like emergency exits and access to ambulances, that's all ready. So they could play there, but with no crowd because the stadium will not be ready to accept crowds, but it could be ready for both teams. Or the other option, they're saying maybe having the match against Valencia being played at the Johan Cruyff Stadium. Or at least that's what the report says. I don't know about that option because as far as I understand it, that stadium, Johan Cruyff Stadium, does not qualify for La Liga matches. It's a Category 3 stadium, and only Category 1 and Category 2 stadiums can host official La Liga matches, unless, of course, Barcelona reached some kind of agreement with La Liga. Also, I don't see this option viable because the Johan Cruyff Stadium doesn't have VAR. So Barcelona would have to install VAR system overnight for that match and that match only. That doesn't seem too feasible to me. And of course, you have to deal with the schedule of the Barca Femení and Barca Athletic, both who play there, right? So again, I don't know how this would work. I don't see this as a viable option, the Stade Johan Cruyff. I think the Camp Nou with closed doors is the more viable option in case, again, the Camp Nou is not ready to host people, and also Montjuic would not be available because the the concert. So definitely big problem there. But there's more. There is more. Now, as you know, the first 3 La Liga fixtures are all away matches because Barcelona requested from La Liga to do them that favor, to give the club more time to prepare the stadium. La Liga said, you got it. So the first 3 matches are all away. Now, Barcelona did the same with UEFA and said, hey, UEFA, is it okay if our first match would be away? That would be the match. That match would be either on the 16th, 17th, or 18th of September. And UEFA said, sorry, we don't do that. So UEFA said no. So we won't find out really until the draw. Once the Champions League draw happens, it's going to happen on August 28th. By August 30th, we'll know the schedule. And based on the draw, we'll know if we're going to be playing the first match home or away. So whether we do or not, it's going to be completely random. It's based on the draw. We'll see. But UEFA have said no special requests. If you get away, great. If you get a home, you better be ready. So UEFA have said no to Barcelona's request. And tomorrow, Thursday, August 21st, UEFA's inspectors will be visiting the Camp Nou to see whether the Camp Nou meets the requirements to host Champions League matches. La Liga inspectors already visited it on Tuesday. We don't know the result of that report, but UEFA will be visiting tomorrow because there's one thing is to get the occupancy permit from the city, which tells you, all right, you can open the building, you can host people in it. Another thing is to UEFA telling you, okay, that's great, but you still have to meet our requirements. So tomorrow, UEFA's inspectors will be visiting the stadium. We'll see what the result of that inspection is, but it's looking less and less likely to me with every passing day that we're going to be back at the Camp Nou. Hopefully I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong because I really want to get back to the Camp Nou, but it's starting to look less and less likely. All right, with that, let's get back to the comment section. And then we're going to talk about Marc Casado. All right, let's see. What is everyone saying? I love this comment section. It stays where I leave it. You can see the comments really nicely. I like it. I like it. Johnny says, what's up, Bo? With that deep dish pizza. Just kidding. It's been a while. You know me. I like both. I like New York style pizza. I like Chicago style pizza. If I had to choose, I would choose New York style a little bit more. But I like both. All right. The reason why I would choose New York pizza is because it's just easier to eat. You know, the whole thing about New York style pizza is that it's on the go pizza, right? You're walking, you're rushing to work or whatever, your next destination. You stop at a place, usually like this tiny counter. You get a slice and you walk and you eat it as you're walking, right? Where in Chicago is more of a Chicago style pizza is more of a dining experience, right? You go to a restaurant, you get a table, you sit down. You order the pizza, they bring it to you. You eat it with a fork and a knife. So I just like the ease, I guess, or the what's the word? I don't know why I can't think of the word. The practicality of New York style pizza. Raul says, what's wrong with the club and their nepotism and mediocrity? Why are we selling Casado and Fermin? Even if we sell, it should be Gabi. He's the untalented. Untalented? Have you watched Gabi play? By the way, I wouldn't sell any of those 3, but Gabi, untalented? My boy. Jordan says, Mo, the idea of Casado leaving, if he should leave, Barca should sell him for a good amount. I'm hearing 30 million, which is way too low. Could it be that Barca doesn't know how to sell? We'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. The Matrix says, Romeu still at Barcelona is a joke. We can't even get 5 mil for him. Yeah. So it looks like he's leaving for free. But hey, Deco's doing a great job, right? A for effort. Big Flex Papa says, Barca should look at Gabriel Mech. Bro, we can't even register the players we have. What are we going to look at Gabriel Mech or Riquelme Freitas? We can't even look at our own players and be like, hey, you're going to play. But, yeah, I mean, we're not there. Omar, my friend, I appreciate the comment, but please stop spamming. Otherwise, I'm going to have to block you from the comment section. I know you want your message read, but there's also other people who also want their message read. So if I see you keep spamming, I'm definitely going to block you from commenting. So please, respect your peers who are also want to comment and also want their comments read. And by the way, I already asked you a question, so there's absolutely no need to spam. In fact, you know what? I'm going to give you another chance. I'm not going to block you yet, but please. Ricardo says, hit the like, guys. Hey, Mo, tuned in from ATL. All right, let's go. Are we going to get all these registrations before the season begins? I mean, the season already began. The question is, are we going to do the registration before the market closes? The market closes on August 30th. And let me see something. Hold on. August 30th, 31st, sorry. And we have to register everybody by then. Otherwise, of course, if you don't, they miss the entire first half of the season, and then you have to register them by in the winter transfer market, which obviously is not something you want. So hopefully we can. But let me do something here real quick. I don't know why this software doesn't allow me to do it, but come on. I'm trying to do it on my cell phone. Maybe I should just do it on my browser. Sorry about this, guys. Let's see. Let me see if it'll let me do this. Shut up. Okay, here we go. Oh, I see a donation. Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. Sorry. Apparently, my software doesn't allow me to put people in timeout. So, Omar, I just put him on timeout. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, he has freaking 30 messages of the same thing. Copy, paste, copy, paste. So, he's on timeout. He's not going to be able to comment for 24 hours. I mean, come on, guys. Have some respect for other people who are also watching and who also want to get their comments in. Let's see. Okay. Shin, my man, with the donation. Let's go. Shin says, just swung in to give you a donation. Just got home from work, and I'm tired as hell. Have a great podcast, bro. Well, thank you, my friend, for your generosity. Get some rest after a long day at work. I can't imagine it was an easy day. Electrician work is hard work. So get your very well-deserved rest. And thank you, my friend, for your generosity and for always supporting the channel. And Jorge says, best time to come to Texas is in the fall. Avoid this 100-plus degree heat. Yeah, I agree. My first time ever that I went to Austin was in July. Biggest mistake ever. So hot and humid, it was disgusting. Earl says, I imagine that doing the construction piecemeal in order to rush is backfiring and actually slowing the construction. Could be. I mean, look, it's like I've said before. It's not about the construction being delayed. And apparently that's a message that's very difficult for people to understand. You have no idea how many people are comment like, it's a major construction. Of course it's going to be delayed. Or some guy was arguing with me about like construction in Spain, how it takes long and the workers don't work as fast. And I was like, that's cool. But my argument was never about the construction itself. We all understand that this is a massive, massive project. This is not just repainting the Camp Nou, changing some seats, and good to go. This is like, it's a major construction project. They demolished the whole third ring. They've had to dig everything up, build brand new foundation, build a whole new structure that's going to support the third new ring, which is also being built. They're building an underground parking garage. They're completely refurbished the first two rings, and this new structure is also going to support those two rings. I mean, it's almost like building a new stadium. So, of course, it's going to take years, and it's going to take as long as it needs to take. This is not something you can rush. It's not something you just go like with a wand and boom. So it'll take as long as it takes. That's fine. We understand that. We're willing to wait for as long as we need to wait because we understand that at the end, we're going to have one of the best stadiums in the world. But the problem is not that. It's not the delays themselves. It's the lies. Knowing that it's such a major project and that it's going to take so long, why would you tell the fans that we're going to be back in November of last year? Why would you tell them again that we were going to be back in December, then February, then April, then May, then August, then September? It's like, dude, There's no need to lie to us. We understand that this is a major project. We understand that it's going to take very long. How about you just let the construction roll? Once it's done, once we've received all the permits, you have the permits in hand, and you're approved to go back, then you announce you go back. You don't say, I think we're going to be done by this. So, yeah, well, let's just announce it. No, you don't announce something you think maybe it won't happen. You announce something you know for sure is going to happen. So why not do that? That's what my problem is. And apparently that's a very difficult thing for people to understand because people keep arguing with me. I'm not saying you, Earl. I'm just speaking in general. People are like, it's a major project. What do you expect? And it's like, again, it's not about the project itself. It's about the lies. Like, stop lying to us. Just let the construction take as long as it needs to take. Oh, and then Laporta does that interview, says, well, I lied to the people because, I was putting pressure on a construction company. Yeah, because that's how you put pressure on a construction company. By announcing some fake return date, the construction company is going to be like, we're just going slow. Oh, shit, they just announced a fake date. Oh, guys, let's hurry up. We're going to finish this construction overnight now because they announced a fake return date on Twitter. Because that's how construction works, right? Plus, what happened to that supposed clause in the contract that Laporta told us? Oh, I'm the greatest negotiator ever. I was able to negotiate a clause that penalizes the construction company 1 million euros per day for every day they're late. They're almost late a year. That's 365 million euros. What happened to that? Either A, we're too stupid to enforce something we negotiated, or B, we're liars. And that clause was never negotiated, and it was just another lie in a big web of lies that Laporta loves to create. So which one is it, Laporta? Are we stupid or are we liars? Please tell us. But anyways, let's get back to the news because, ladies and gentlemen, we do have to talk about Marc Casado because as of late, there have been a lot of talks about the player. Is he leaving? Is he not? And today, another report came out stating that, the club are now ready to listen to offers for the Barcelona midfielder. Now, there's been a lot of clubs who have been interested in Casado since the summer transfer market began, but there hasn't been a lot of talk about him, just here and there, a few reports here and there. But lately, this activity has increased. Almost every day we see reports, morning, evening, night, talking about Casado this, interest in this, interest from this club, interest from that club. This club wants to make an offer. That club made an offer. And now the latest report saying that Barcelona are now ready to listen to offers. Now, it seems like amongst the clubs interested in Marc Casado are Wolverhampton, who have supposedly offered 30 million euros to Barcelona for the player. Looks like West Ham are interested, Real Betis, and even Como. Says Fabregas says Como, who look like are doing kind of a Mallorca thing where they just want to sign all Barcelona players. But here's the thing. If we've seen these reports consistently, interest from this club, interest from that, offer from this club, offer from that, the club wants to listen to offers, it tells me one thing. And it tells me that the club is truly getting ready to push Marc Casado out, right? Because as we've learned time and time again with this board, that the club does not leak news just for the sake of leaking. They always do it in a strategic way. And it's usually to pressure the players, right? Remember the Frankie de Jong saga? We could not stop hearing about how terrible Frankie de Jong was, how he was ignoring the calls from the club. And I was stupid enough to believe it. And I was like here all mad at Frankie. And I was like, fuck Frankie and blah, blah, blah. Well, we learned that those leaks were not accidental, right? They wanted Frankie out, so they sicked the fans against him. Same thing with Ter Stegen, right? As soon as they decide that because first it was like, Ter Stegen's going to be our number one. We're going to wait for him as long as he needs to recover. The moment the club decides that Ter Stegen is not going to be the number one, that Joan Garcia is going to be signed, all of a sudden, magically, overnight, we start seeing leaks about Ter Stegen. Ter Stegen didn't give speech. Ter Stegen didn't fly with the team to Milan. It's like, that was 2 months ago. Why didn't we hear about it then? Why all of a sudden now when Barcelona decided to sign Joan Garcia, right? Same thing with La Liga speech. That was a month before. Why didn't we hear about it then? Why all of a sudden? And it's like you start seeing a pattern. That when the club starts to leak these stories is because they're trying to put pressure on a player to push him out. So all of a sudden, we start hearing all these stories about Casado, means that they're trying to push him out. And if that's the case, again, I'm assuming here, I'm not saying 100%, but if that's the case, then that really pisses me off for two reasons. The number one reason is because you're spitting in the face of Hansi Flick and everything he's trying to do. Because Flick has made it very clear that he wants Casado. He wants Casado in his team. He wants Casado to be part of his project because he considers Casado a profile that he doesn't have on the team. That defensive midfielder that is really good at as being a destroyer, but can also build from the back. That profile, maybe Gavi's the closest one to it, but besides that, we don't really have that profile. You know, Pedri, Frankie, Fermin, Dani Olmo, they have a more offensive profile than a defensive one like Marc Casado. So Flick really wants him. And if you're trying to push a player out that Flick wants, that considers essential to his project, well, not only are you affecting what Flick is trying to build, but you're also spitting in his face. Because Flick, from day one, he said, look, I understand your position. You have no financial fair play. You have no money. Don't worry. Don't make any signings. I'm not going to request any signings. Give me whatever you have, and I'm going to work with it. And that's exactly what Flick did. He came to the club, and he worked with what he had. And not only did he work with what he had, he transformed what he had into one of the best teams in Europe that won 3 trophies in their first season. When have you seen that? When have you seen a coach just say, whatever you give me, I'll make it work? And not only does it make it work, but it turns it into a championship winning team. So not only does Flick have to work with whatever he has, but now the club are trying to take away from what he has when he's never requested any big signings. But this, and a second reason why this pisses me off is because this is just proof of more and more lies by this board. Because this board told us the Nike deal is going to get us to the 1-1. Remember that? It's been a year. We're nowhere close to the 1-1. Then they told us, oh, wait, it's the VIP seats. That's going to get us to the 1-1. Then it was like, actually, no, it's going to have to be VIP seats plus the DRC. Then it was like, oh, no, that's still not enough. VIP, DRC, plus the 7 million euros in bond that we just agreed to put up. And then it's like, okay, well, when is the VIP seats going to happen? Well, the report is coming before the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. That never came. Oh, don't worry. Report is coming second half of July. That never came. Oh, don't worry. It's coming by the Joan Gamper Trophy match. That didn't happen. And now we don't even know if it's going to happen. So that tells me that the club always knew that they weren't going to achieve the 1-1 rule. So now they're trying to achieve it by the sale of academy players. Because remember Fermin Lopez? You couldn't stop hearing about Fermin Lopez. Interest from this club, interest from that club, offer from this club, offer from that club. Until Fermin Lopez said, no, I'm not leaving. And until Flick said, stop this bullshit, I want him. And all of a sudden, oh, interest in Casado, offer for Casado. Do you see a pattern here? And this tells me that the club are now trying to sell La Masia talent to achieve the 1-1 rule, which they told us we were going to achieve through all these other avenues that never actually happened. And that is problematic because this board loves to brag about La Masia, but it turns out La Masia is not there to feed the team talent. It turns out La Masia is there now, or being used, to save this board's ass because they keep lying to us, and this is the only way they're going to, well, fulfill one of their many, many, many broken promises. And I really hope that this doesn't go through, because not only has Marc Casado shown us time and time again that he has what it takes to be a first-team player, but he is a Masia graduate. Someone who is willing to put it all, leave it all on the line for the team. Someone who cost us nothing. And someone who was playing in the Premier League would be salivating over, talking about, oh, how we want to pay 70 and 80 million euros to sign him. And guess what? We don't need to do that. He's already at our club. He cost us nothing. But instead, now we're talking about selling him for 30 mil. Are you fucking kidding me? For what? So in 2 seasons, we're like, oh, let's sign him back for 70. I'm seriously getting sick and tired of this board. They're horrible mismanagement. But no, Mo Laporta, the greatest president in our history. I hope he stays president for the rest of his life. That's what I was told. Well, this is what it looks like. By the way, Casado for now is saying that he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay at the club. I really hope he stays firm because Casado and La Masia should not pay for this board's incompetence. All right, let's get back to the comment section. And then we're going to talk about Javier Tebas because Tebas, my favorite guy. We got good news. Well, not entirely good news, but could potentially be a good news. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? That just says the stadium affair is just too funny. Laporta is turning Barca into a joke. I really used to defend that man. How crazy. Hey, don't feel crazy. I used to defend him too. The people used to say I was a fanboy, that I was getting paid by John Laporta. Now people say I was getting paid by Victor Font. And my only question is where are these checks? I need them. I got some shit to pay. I got bills to pay. Where are Laporta's and Victor Font's checks? Like, please, if anyone can forward them to me, I'll give you my address. So please forward them to me. I got some bills to pay. SO says it's 10 days to go and transfer market closure. What the hell? Romeu is still in the squad. Is Deco such a lazy ass? Don't worry. Agreement is coming. It's coming. Noob Master says, what's up, Bo? Congrats on the new software. Do you believe that Highline is doing great with Araujo? Honestly, it wasn't really tested against Mallorca. I think it was tested once, and he was a little bit off. So I can't say. We've only had one match. In that match, I mean, you saw what happened. They were down 2 men, and it was pretty much just defend with all 9 players. So I can't really tell you. Sulaiman says, hello, Mo. How are you doing today? When exactly are we going to have pure positive news? There's positive news every now and then. It's not always. Ryan Thomas says Texas might be replaced by someone who's more in love with Madrid. Huh? I don't think I understand your comment. Wait, what is this? Why am I on here? Do you guys see this? It says Barca News and it's empty. That's weird. Janoy says, hey Mo, is there any news on Ansu? How is that doing at his club? Honestly, I don't know. The last thing I heard was that when Ansu arrived at Monaco, apparently he was completely out of shape. And then he did an interview, I think, or his entourage. No, it was his entourage that they were leaking that it was Barca's fault. And I was like, really? Flick has turned these players into machines. Like, these players have never been as fit their entire careers as they have been under Flick. And you want to blame Flick for your lack of stamina or shape? I mean, I don't know, man. It sounds like a you problem, Ansu. Because if 30 other players are in perfect shape thanks to Flick, but you're the only one who's not in shape, you're the common denominator. You seem to be like the one who, and that verifies why that confirms the whole thing with Flick being disappointed in Ansu, because when Flick first arrived, he was very impressed by Ansu's skills. He wanted to see how he does in a preseason. He told Barcelona, don't offload him, don't loan him out. I want to see him. That was last summer. And then he ended up not counting on him because there are a lot of reports saying that in training, Ansu would not practice with intensity. And that, of course, Flick does not like. As you know, Flick wants all his players playing 100% intensity, and Ansu was not doing it. So this confirms that, right? Because he goes to Monaco, and all of a sudden he's out of shape, and now they have to put him in a special program to bring him into shape, and he says it's Flick's fault. Bro, if that was the case, the entire team would be out of shape, and yet we have some of the best in shape players in all of Europe. So it sounds like a you problem, not a Flick problem. Maulao says, hi Mo again. How can contact you to get some information on your studio setup? Oh, cool. Instagram, the Instagram channel. You're not the first one to ask this, so I've been thinking about maybe making a video of the setup, because I've had questions before on how the setup is. I created a mobile setup. This table that all my setup is in is actually on wheels. So I can move it around. Everything is hooked onto it. The screen, the mic, the computer, the camera, the lights. Everything is like, I've clamped it onto the table. So it's all like one big setup, and I just move it around. So when I'm done filming, all I do is unplug one cable, because everything is connected to an outlet. What's called the surge protector. So I just unplug one cable, and I move all the table, and I park it over there. Like right there, there's an empty space right here. I just put it there. Done. It's out of the way. So I got a little bit creative with it. So yeah, I think I'll probably make a video about it. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Right here. Greek the kid says the window is just getting worse. I need it to be over. I said it earlier that this guy Deco doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, no. You know, when he first started, I was like, people were like, Deco out. I was like, guys, chill. You just got here. You know, yeah. But now that he's had, a full season, I'm like, there's some things he's done right. But there's a lot of, But anyways. All right, let's do the last bit of news. And then we'll do more comments, I promise. Because we do have to talk about Javier Tebas. Because, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this guy, Miguel Galan, who's an attorney in Spain, someone who kind of acts as an auditor, who's always seeing what's going on in Spain, and when there's something that shouldn't be happening, always calls it out. Always from the legal perspective, not an opinion perspective. Not like, I don't like this. He always looks at the things that teams do, that La Liga does, that the Royal Spanish Football Federation does, from the legal perspective, and always calls out something when it goes against the rules or shouldn't be happening, legally speaking. He's the one who brought to the attention of Barcelona that they could file a complaint against Tebas, and that complaint could get Tebas removed for violation of confidentiality rules. Because as you might recall, a few months ago, Javier Tebas posted on his Twitter and on La Liga's website the results of the auditor for the VIP deal. You know, Barcelona sold the rights to VIP seats at the end of December. That generated 100 million euros, which was enough to reach the 1-1 rule. But then the auditor, Barcelona's auditor, Crow, issued a report saying, no, you can't count those 100 million euros as revenue because the seats are not built. So once that report was submitted to La Liga took Barcelona from under the 1-1 rule, and Tebas published all that on his Twitter and on his website, things you're not supposed to do, because clubs are always providing La Liga with financial documents, and there's a confidentiality protection there where La Liga, members of La Liga, cannot publish the information contained in those financial documents. So by publishing that on his Twitter and on La Liga's website, Javier Tebas violated confidentiality rules, and Miguel Galan, using his knowledge as an attorney, brought to Barcelona's attention, hey, you have legal grounds here to file a complaint against Tebas. And since there's already a complaint against Tebas, because Real Madrid had filed their own complaint because Tebas published in results of an anonymous survey that clubs took, and Tebas published what Real Madrid had put in that survey, even though it's supposed to be anonymous and confidential. He published it, so Real Madrid had their own complaint against Tebas. So Miguel Galan said, look, here are the rules, and under these rules, not only is it a violation of confidentiality rules, but also if you bring your complaint, Barcelona, you could remove Tebas from his position because he already has another complaint against him from Real Madrid. Now, Laporta didn't do shit. A few months later, Tebas meets with the president of Athletic Club de Bilbao, reveals to him that Barcelona are having financial problems. He's like, oh, look, here's the paperwork. Look, they're not under the 1-1. It doesn't look like they're going to achieve it. President of Athletic Club de Bilbao takes all that paperwork, shows it to Nico Williams. He's like, look, man, they're not going to be able to register you. And they convince him to stay. Again, Miguel Galan's like, yo, again, you have grounds to file a complaint and remove him. Laporta still doesn't do shit. And now Miguel Galan has brought his own complaint against Javier Tebas. He's filed a 50-page complaint against him with the CSD, the Superior Court for Sport. And now that complaint has been accepted by the CSD. And now the CSD are studying this complaint and studying whether they can automatically remove Javier Tebas from his position as La Liga president. Now, 93 Barcelona Socis have joined this complaint against Javier Tebas. So we'll see what happens. Of course, the day that Javier Tebas ceases to be the president of La Liga, I'm probably going to throw a party in my house. You guys are all invited. we could all celebrate together, because that would be a great victory, not only for Barcelona, but for La Liga as a whole. Because as we've seen, the only thing Tebas has done for this La Liga is damage it more and more and more, whether it's been with his horrible financial fair play rules that have caused so much damage to many clubs who have to sell players, promising players, academy players, just to register the players they have. Not even players that they've signed, but players that they already have. They can't even register those, and they have to sell their talent away. And as a result, we've seen a huge migration of talent and promising talent to other leagues. Or with the whole CBC deal, where all the clubs had to give away their TV rights in exchange of a cash injection, which has blown up in everybody's faces. And now the clubs are even struggling more, even though the promise was like, hey, if you agree to this deal, you're going to do so much better. And they're not. They're not even doing the same as before the CBC deal. They're doing worse. So this guy has done nothing but destroy this league. This guy has done nothing but being a pain in the ass in for Barcelona. So I rue the day that this guy is removed. And I really hope that he is removed pretty soon. By the way, Miguel Galan has also confirmed that, yes, what Real Madrid did against Osasuna, bringing in Mastantuono, that it totally is a violation of the rules, and that Osasuna would have a legal ground to challenge that lineup of Real Madrid and then, be declared winners and get the 3 points. But of course, Osasuna have already said they're not going to do that. So we'll leave it at that. All right, that is all the news for this podcast. I will be uploading another video shortly, so stay tuned to the channel. But let's do a few more comments before ending the segment. Edward says, Mo, in the case of Tebas, might it be one of those be careful what you wish for? You and the others gave chapter and verse about how Royal Spanish Federation is Madrid cabal. I think Tebas terrible, but all right. I already talked about this. This whole we shouldn't get someone who's bad for us because someone worse might take his place is honestly nonsensical to me and cowardice thinking. This is like having a girlfriend that cheats on you and is super toxic and say, I don't want to break up with her because who knows, maybe the next girl will be worse. That's not a reason not to break up with a girl. If she is cheating on you and she's a terrible girlfriend, you break up with her. If the next one turns out to be worse, you break up with her. And you keep doing that until you find the right one. This whole we don't know what's... Come on now. Do you really want to go through life like that? Noob Master says, Mo, I think that Laporta saying that I'm putting that clause is fake, but the reason why he put it in there because he make the reputation of the company look great and making the club look bad. Wait, what? I mean, if that clause is not there, that's not going to make the company look good or anything. It's going to make him look good. Look at me. I'm such a great negotiator that I convinced a construction company that they're going to pay me €1 million every day the construction is delayed, even though anybody in the construction business knows that projects like these are always delayed. So you're pretty much, by agreeing to this, you are pretty much agreeing to pay, period. Because these construction projects are always delayed. So why would a construction company agree to that? You are pretty much, you're 100% sure you're going to end up paying. So why would you agree to that? It doesn't make sense. It's like betting and knowing that you're going to lose that bet 100%. Not that there's a chance or a possibility. No, knowing for sure that you're going to lose that bet. Why would you bet on it? So I think the only reason to lie would be to say, hey, look at me. I'm such a great negotiator, right? Carlos says, so if Casado leaves, what are they doing with that money? I hope he sticks around and stays. The fans won't react the same like with Matt and Frankie. Well, it all depends on what kind of campaign Laporta or the club end up doing, right? Right, with they're saying they helped a lot with the campaign, right? On the Twitter, oh, he's such a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. And, people gobble it up like it's cornflakes, right? Because here's one thing I've learned about people. People will not doubt something. People will believe something bad about you like that without even thinking about it, but they will doubt good things about you. If someone comes and says, hey, Mo just, I don't know, won something. No, he didn't. Really? No, I don't believe it. I need to see it to believe it. But if someone comes, hey, Mo did something bad. Oh, dude, yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Like, people will believe bad things like this, but they will always, always doubt good things. Always. So, campaigns to, like, trash people, they'll gobble it up, man. They love that shit. They'll believe it. It was kind of like, remember when the whole Ter Stegen thing? Literally, players came out, right? Gabi, Cubarsí, Ferran, Rafinha. Everybody's coming out in defense of Ter Stegen. No, Ter Stegen, he's our captain. We have to respect that. He's our captain. We stand with him. We stand with him. Literally, these are the players. Words coming out of their mouth. You can see it on video. You can hear it. Like, this is not a report. This is not their agent saying that the player said. No, they're literally saying this. Like this. And people are like, well, Mo, they're just saying that. Oh, it's an interview, so they're forced to say that. Oh, it's like making up all kinds of excuses to doubt something that they're seeing with their own eyes and hearing with their own ears. All kinds of excuses to doubt it. But some tweet that they don't even know where it came from, saying something bad, oh, believe it. Believe it. No need to doubt it. No need to question it. Nothing. And that's unfortunately the nature of humans. Glenn says, it's simple. Frankie just needs to restructure his contract and help the club. I'm going to talk about Frankie a little bit more in next video. Let's see. Kedrick says, do you think Marc Bernal and Pedri can form a better partnership compared to like Frankie, Pedri, or Casado and Pedri? Bernal and Pedri. I think so. I think Bernal and Pedri could be kind of like the starting duo. And then you can have kind of like Casado and Gabi or Casado and Frankie as the backup duo. Because, some people are like, oh, well, Casado is not going to be a starter. Okay, there's 26 players on the team. You think all of them are starters? There's only 11 starters. And there's, 15 players or not. You need subs. So this whole argument, oh, just Casado is not going to be a starter, so we need to sell him. The same with Fermin. I'm like, that's idiotic. So what? We're going to sell all the bench players because they're not going to be starters and just keep the starting 11? That makes sense, right? Brian says, with this financial mess, I wonder how they could have registered Nico if he would have signed. That's a good question. That's a good question. Eddie says they will probably assign another Madrid fan as head of La Liga. I mean, again, not an excuse to not get rid of what's already bad. Let's see. Kyle says, stop hating on Casado. Wait, I think this is not aimed at me. Okay, I see. Everybody's arguing with Chuchu. Chuchu, my man, why you always starting shit, bro? Just express your opinion. Say, look, I don't think Casado's that good, and that's it. No need to insult others. No need to, be an asshole to others. You can still express your opinion without demeaning others. I mean, if your opinion has merits, then let your opinion stand on its own merits and say, look, this is why I don't think Casado is good or is Barca level because ABC. This whole oh, you're an idiot and you can go to sleep and you're stupid. That just makes your argument weaker. Because if you have to insult others, it's because your argument cannot stand on its own. So just make your argument and that's it. No need to demean others. Let's have some respect in the chat section. Kedrick says, do you think Marc Bernal and Pedri... Oh, wait, already read that. We have a donation from Sanjog. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. Says, I appreciate Laporta for what he has done, but he's shady as fuck. I believe he has done a lot of under-the-table deals that needs to be investigated. I think I feel the same way. I think the first 2 years he did a great job steering the club away from the precipice because the club was like a train, that was headed towards a cliff where the bridge had broken and the train was about to fly off the cliff. And he did a great job of steering the train back, into the right course and not have it fly off the cliff. But lately it's been very questionable. Very questionable what he's been doing lately. And I think it all started when he started surrounding himself with his buddies, right? Laporta, first 2 years, had an incredibly talented board. Very talented people, people like Alemany, like Jordi Cruyff, people like, what's his name, that guy, the one who brought all the sponsorships to the club. I forgot, but he was surrounded with a lot of talented people. And that talented people helped Laporta steer the club into the right direction. And then a lot of them started to just quit because they had disagreements with Laporta. Because Laporta has always been known as a guy who rules the club his way, kind of like more of a dictatorial way, like it's my way or the highway. And that a lot of times clashed with other directors, and it ended up causing him to resign, like 30 plus resignations, which fine, it happens, but replace them with other people who are also qualified. But instead, he started replacing them with his buddies, right? And it became like this closed circle of buddies who kind of ruled the club how they wanted, and everybody else on the board, their opinions didn't matter. And that caused even more resignations. And now we've seen what happens when you just surround yourself with buddies and run the club like it's your family's meat shop or pizza shop, and you stop filling vacancies with qualified, experienced people. Like Deco, what the fuck is he doing at the club? He has zero experience being a sporting director. Okay, you want to become a sporting director? Great. Go work at a 4th division or 3rd division club and then make your way up. You don't go from never having experience as a sporting director to being a sporting director of one of the biggest clubs in the world. But he's Laporta's buddy. So welcome. Doesn't matter if you have experience or not. You bet your ass we're going to hire you. And that is problematic. That is problematic. Victor says, I believe Laporta also has some shady people in his circle when it comes to planning and meeting timelines. Some goals are not realistic. I mean, here's the thing. It takes a shady person to surround himself with other shady people. We all know, well, maybe you don't, but there's a video on the channel about the trial currently against him. Laporta Gate. Look into it. It's not pretty. Now, of course, it's innocent until proven guilty, but if he is proven guilty, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Especially because he allegedly tried to use Barcelona money, the club's money, to save his ass from his shady dealings. I'm not going to get into it. I made a whole video. It's on the channel. Check it out. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will end the podcast. Again, I'm going to be doing a video in a few moments, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always,